Lovable is one of the strongest AI products to come out recently. The product works, the demos are real, and the social proof is already there. But despite how strong the product is, there's a disconnect in how their Instagram presence is actually getting people into the product. And right now, Lovable is getting a lot of attention, but there's no clear path telling people where to start. And when a product is this good, that gap matters. In this video, I'm breaking down Lovable's Instagram strategy from a distribution and an onboarding perspective. And first and foremost, this isn't a critique on the content quality because let's face it, that part's already strong. This is about structure and specifically how Lovable can make it easier for, say, somebody who's never touched AI before to understand what to do next. Every growth system needs three things: orientation, belief, and compounding. And if any one of these break, basically the growth slows, even if the content looks great on the surface. So let's walk through Lovable's Instagram using that framework. So orientation is about what happens when someone sees Lovable for the first time. Now, with that being said, I have an example, right? So say if you were going to college for the first time, right? You're pulling up to the campus, you're ready to go, you got your backpack on, you got all your stuff, all your gear, and it's your first time being there. But then there is no booth. I'm going to try my best to draw someone. No sort of onboarding, no sort of orientation. You don't even know where you're at. You're completely lost in the sauce trying to find where you need to go. Obviously, you're going to go in, you're going to do what you got to do and figure it out because you spend a lot of money just to be there. But that's not your typical consumer that's doom scrolling on Instagram. And since Lovable is such a big company and it has such a huge potential to reach millions and millions and millions, and it's a billion-dollar company, it's the fact that it's not only us focusing on the B2B, but it's also us focusing on mainstream and knowing that we can tap into the mainstream market. So with that being said, we'll explain a little bit more of what that means later on as we progress. But if we were to then take a look at Lovable's Instagram, right now, the Instagram strategy, and that's part of the reason why we said, like, we're not really focusing on strategy of, like, the actual content. It's actually really, really good. But it also poses a specific issue when you are maybe tapping into the mainstream audience instead of B2B, because I guarantee you, like, if anybody in the B2B space, anybody just that runs a business, they'll see this. They'll see the They'll see that I hit 100K revenue before launch. They'll be like, oh, that's cool. I can easily do that myself. I just have to find where I need to go. They'll be like, oh, cool. I'll go to the website. Whereas maybe a regular person that's seeing this for the first time, as an example, they'll see this. And this video in particular can relate to anyone. This can relate to anybody that has a dream, anybody that has a passion, a goal. And that's a potential customer that we can reach out to and actually build a relationship with and then have them end up joining. But the issue is sometimes when you look at everything here, Lovable is really good at just showing variety, but there's no entry point. There's no entry point for that regular person that wants to start learning, wants to get into it. So the issue is everything is presented at the same level because most people will only see a reel or two, or once again, they'll be doom scrolling. So the first post might be something like this, but then everything else has no direction. It's kind of the same thing with YouTube. If it's a case where you don't have at the end of your video tying to go to somewhere or go to some sort of route or take some sort of action, you're not really going to get anywhere. And of course, you can debate that, okay, you're making this content because it's a compounding thing. Usually people have to see your stuff 7 times before they want to make something happen. But you can bypass that a lot quicker. And we'll explain that as we progress into the video. So if we were to talk about the orientation gap, the biggest thing that we were going to bring up, and the thing that I've seen is, right, we have the reels, we have the demos, we have the results, they're really high quality, but there's no story highlights. Something as simple as this doesn't even need to take forever, especially the quality that you guys are already doing right now. All you guys would need to do then is to create story highlights that tie to a typical person, right? Show them step by step exactly how they can do something. So they even break it down from like a dream perspective. Like, you have a dream. Okay, what's your dream? Your dream is to do this. This is how you can literally create that dream and make it a story highlight. Because if you think about it too, if we were to go right back to the Instagram and see the first post, this is a perfect example of like a type of post that it's meant for a beginner. It's meant for someone that isn't even in business, to explain the fact that Lovable can be used for regular people. However, if that's only one piece of touch point that they have access to in comparison to the rest, it's not going to give them much of a need. Whereas you can literally have in your story highlights section an exact walkthrough for somebody that's completely new. And you can title it a certain way to where it attracts them. And then, of course, lead to some sort of CTA that's tied to them checking out the website. Because it seems like everything is going to stem from somebody going into the website because you could see a live demo yourself of what you're trying to do. And then, of course, I assume you're probably going to end up getting the their email information and all that stuff. But that's the issue. There's not too many touch points for a beginner coming in, so you might as well walk them through a story highlight and get them step by step what they need to do. It's not really meant for the single post when you post it as a story, because you know that's going to be gone in 24 hours. Just the fact that you can literally highlight it there, and that's another touch point you can add. So basically, to summarize that, Lovable is winning in attention at the top of the funnel, but some of that attention never turns into actual belief because there's obviously no structured entry point outside of maybe one or two things. So if we were to go into the belief aspect, once someone understands where to start and we have maybe more touch points, the next question becomes, can I do this? And I'll even write it there. And of course, I will circle this because that is the biggest word that we can consider right now for a large majority of our money that we can make off of just the regular consumer. Can I? And the way we can combat this is something that I wrote on here before. I want to see if I have it included. Yep. So belief isn't built on the feed, it's built on the actual touch points. So if you were to consider a large majority of your audience is going to be doom scrolling or going through their phone and swiping up, and then they see one of your videos that basically catches their attention. Now, that would be a reel. However, the number one thing that we don't take advantage of is the fact that the first touch point is the reel. However, the second touch point is the comments. So when we're looking at the comments, if you think about it like this, right? Nobody's going to read the caption. I don't remember how many times I've ever actually looked at a caption from a post. I do look at the comments though, because I care about what people think based off of what is going on in the reel. And that's 99% of the other people out in the online space. So the fact that they care about others' opinions, that is our first touch point to attack. Now, the way we can do that, and the way that it should happen, is this is where Lovable will have true leverage, because we can turn the comment section into a controlled environment. The way we do that is by pinning comments. But then you ask, what comments are we going to pin? Think about, from a sales perspective, the objections, the questions. Oh, sorry about that. The questions. And then next step. Right? From the objection standpoint, we can knock out all the objections that usually a beginner coming in or somebody even from the B2B side would have by having maybe some of our ambassadors or people that are involved with Lovable answer the questions as if they were just regular people. And then Lovable can go in and pin probably the best question that gets asked, allowing that to be the first thing that somebody sees. Because if they see it for the first time and they see maybe some crazy testimonial or some crazy response to a question that ties really well, it's going to urge them to look more into that comment thread. Like, as an example, if you were to look onto here and see this recent one that you guys just did, let's see.
Lovable and not Lovable. It's $1 billion company. What
right?
made you?
See how crazy it is. They have Simon Squibb. He is very good at top of funnel, obviously, because he's able to make content tied to that. And then, of course, you guys end up doing some sort of collaboration with them. Now, if you were looking into the comments section, we can literally, and it seems like you guys pinned something already, we can literally change this up. And maybe the next time we do a post that's kind of this style, we can add some questions from people that are consumers, but they're actually one of us. And we can start solving a lot of those objections. And then it'll just make it easier. Like, instead of the comment section just being a bunch of randomness, we can control it by just having a large amount of our own people make comments back, answer all the questions that they need. And then, not to mention, if you were to consider, since if I'm scrolling and this is the main touch point, I'm like, let me see. I'm going to click on Lovable's account. All right, there's a bunch of cool stuff here, right? There's a website, but I don't know. It just depends. I want to look at some of this other stuff. I don't really want to go on a website. There's no call to action that's tied to the website, which you can indirectly call that out by being a fake consumer. By just saying like, hey, if you actually want to learn more, like I've used their website and that's where you can literally test the product for free. It's insane. You should do it. And imagine, and this comes down to the compounding. I'll explain that a little bit later, but imagine what can happen if you tie in your next steps. You answer all the questions they might have and you solve all of the objections. It will just make it 10 times easier for you and even your sales team, even from a process standpoint, unless if it's obviously just a lower ticket. One of the things I would like to say with this, outside of it being, does attention stack or reset? Compounding is whether each post makes the next one stronger. So if you were to go about it this route and you have all of those things added in, imagine the small difference or the large difference it would make with more people being funneled to the actual product, because you want them to instantly get their hands on the product. But usually the life cycle of them doing that would take, where people would say it would take 7 reels for somebody to truly be invested, when it can easily be just 1. Or if it's a case where they go onto the website, they have at least 2 entry points, say something like this, the Lovable Cloud section, and then the story highlights, and then the website itself. So you just add an extra step, an extra chance for you to end up getting a more amount of people testing out the product. And of course, they're going to have the story highlights to help them out. That's part of what we genuinely would do if we were in Lovable situation, right? We'd set up the reels that tie to exactly what Lovable's doing right now because they're crushing it. We would control the comments section. We would then do the stories and make sure we do them right. And then, of course, that's just going to end up leading to the product regardless. And with a brand as big as this, and I can imagine they're going to go bigger and bigger and bigger, small things like this, small changes like this are actually what's going to drive the needle forward. It's not better content. It's literally just tweaking the tiny things that are now being a huge impact to your business in order to obviously just get more people tied to going straight to the product and getting their hands on it. All right, so Lovable already has the hardest part figured out. The product works phenomenally. The results are real, so that's good. And the attention is already there. The opportunity now isn't about more content, it's just about more structure. And with clearer orientation, stronger belief building, and intentional compounding, Lovable's Instagram could become a true growth engine. And that's where the upside is.